Going to record it so I can send you I can send you this guys after as well, just a link for the replay. But we'll dive straight into it. How have you guys been anyway? You had a good week so far?
Yeah, man. Yeah, really good. Thank you. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Literally just finishing this last little bit of work as we speak. But I think that's probably my final click for today. But nice, yeah, all good, mate. Training's been
Good.
good. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Amazing. Good man. Glad to hear it. Tash, what about you? How have things been with you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a bit of a hectic week.
Yeah. With work.
Jam-packed. Yeah, with
Mhm.
work, jam-packed with patients and meetings and stuff, but not been too bad overall. Glad the sun's
Awesome.
out for a little while.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good, guys. Good. And being busy is a good thing as well, right? Especially if, if it is work as well, it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that's amazing. So what we're going to do, if you want to take notes, by all means, feel free to. I am recording this as well, so I will upload this into the WhatsApp group after. I'm just going to share my screen and then we will dive straight into it. Obviously, if you've got any questions, guys, at any point, just fire away. What I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to open it up to a bit of a Q&A for about 10 minutes. The call really shouldn't take any longer than 20 to 30 minutes. It's just going to be a case of going through the slides, obviously answering your guys' questions as well. Let me just see. Perfect. Cool. Okay. Cool. So the first slide we're going to be doing, guys, is going to be around managing your weekend nutrition. Okay. Now, the biggest thing with nutrition, a lot of people fall off with, I'll run through that just a second, but a lot of it comes down to a few different things: simplicity, consistency, and just applying the same things over and over again. Okay. Like you would, in the workplace, in order to get better at something, you apply the consistency, discipline, and you also just apply the fact of not you just, you consistently doing it, but making sure we're doing the right things. Okay. So on today's call, we're going to go over a few things. Like I said, we're going to open it up at the end for just general Q&A. Just gives you guys a chance to ask any questions that may be, overriding, maybe you've had questions from, check-in calls. And the good thing is with these calls as well, it's going to allow you to bring any questions you have from your check-ins to this call so we can answer it at the end. And obviously everyone can bounce different, ideas off each other depending on, what it is. But really, the sole purpose of today's call, we're going to be covering the basic principles on keeping your nutrition simple and easy, like I said, throughout the weekends, but not just the weekends. You can apply it to the week as well. Okay. So I'll go through these relatively slow. Like I said, we're not going to go for too long for today. I just want to give you as much info as we can in a short period of time. Okay. But like I was saying, guys, when it comes to, nutrition, a big part of it is going to come down to simplicity. I know I had a call with one of the other guys of the day, and we were discussing different ways we can make it really easy for your nutrition. And based off of that, I thought, well, you know what? There's some really, really easy ways that we can keep, nutrition simple. Okay. Because when it comes to obviously your nutrition, you know, a lot of people tend to slip up over the weekends because we try and change too many things. Maybe social events come up. But this is what I always think, when it comes to nutrition, we want to keep it as simple as possible. So, instead of having to add lots of variety in, well, why not just keep, similar food choices Monday through to Sunday? That way, it keeps it not only easy for you, but it allows you to really build that, that level of, consistency, like we were saying, but also keeping things simple as well. Okay. So look, and if you are, someone that likes to have more variety, I know obviously Tash, traveling up and down the country with work, I know sometimes, it can be a challenge with nutrition with being on the go. And obviously, Ben, you're mainly based from either in the office or at home, right?
yeah, it's much easier for me in
So it's a
terms of
little bit
food.
easier, which is good because we've got two different people, two different lines of work, but it allows us to really understand. Okay, well, how can we really nail your nutrition? And again, like I was saying, it comes down to consistency, which we'll talk about in just a second, but simplicity. So if you are someone that likes to have more variety over the weekends, then honestly, one of the best things I would say to do is like I put at the bottom here with regards to breakfast, aim to keep it the same Monday through to Sunday. Yeah, I always think apply the same level, of simplicity over the weekends because for a lot of people, for you guys in particular, your weekends, you might want to be going out, meeting up with, friends or, seeing family. And I always think if you can keep it simple for yourself, it saves all the stress and all the guesswork. So, keeping your breakfast the same, Monday through to Sunday, keeping your lunch pretty much the same Monday through to Sunday. Obviously, this is based on 3 meals a day. And obviously dinner, if you like to have more variety, that's absolutely fine. You can change that around a little bit, okay? But still obviously making sure, keeping tabs on, how many calories it has, because as we know, it's really, really important to hit the calories in order to see the change you want to see. But not just that, like if you've had breakfast and lunch and you know that, your calorie target for the day is, let's say 2,000, and your breakfast and lunch takes you to, I don't know, maybe takes you to 1,000 as total, you've got 1,000 to play with for dinner. So you can have a little bit more variety in there as well. And that will help if you are someone that likes variety. Did you have any questions on that at all, guys?
Yeah, just
Go for
what?
it.
So just with regards to, obviously, I mean, I can only talk about what I'm doing
Yeah,
in
go
terms
for
of my
it.
nutrition, right?
Mhm.
So my stuff is it's really simple, which is
Mm.
how I want it, and I've got no problem with eating the same thing every day.
Mm.
The only thing I was thinking though, because I'm crap for stuff like veg and all that sort of stuff, because I'm just thinking like I need to make sure I get my carbs, need to make sure I get my fats and my proteins. So I'm nailing, my rice and everything else. But like veg, for example, and fruit or whatever, I'm not really having any of that. So would you like recommend sort of supplementing that with something just to make sure that there was like all those, because I don't know if there would be any sort of deficiency. I mean, I know it's down to me, I could just eat more veg, but if I'm honest, I'm struggling quite a lot with with the food anyway, just as you know. So if there was something I could just compensate, maybe not getting all that extra veg and stuff, is there maybe some vitamins or like, I don't know, what would you think?
I mean, that's a great question, mate, because I think with regards to, vitamins and minerals, and if you're not getting them in through vegetables, in order for us to have, say, a certain amount of, whether it's magnesium or a certain amount of vitamin, B12, we'd have to eat a relatively, a considerable amount in terms of, actually getting that in from nutrition. And that's why things like supplements are good, because it'll allow you to supplement in those things. So I always think, well, I like to do it by feel. So if you feel like energetic, if you feel good on a day-to-day basis, you feel like, you're getting no crashes, no slumps, no real low energy, then I always think that's a good place to start with. But if you feel like, okay, maybe I'm getting a little bit more tired, or, things aren't feeling quite right, then I would say, okay, well, let's supplement in, whether it is vitamin D, whether it is, vitamin B12. But I think personally, like the go-to supplements, I would say in terms of like, your vitamins, you can get vitamin D from the sun. And now I know obviously for you guys, if you are indoors a lot, whether you're traveling up and down the country or you're going into the workplace, then, getting that sunlight exposure can be a little bit more tricky. So you can supplement in a vitamin D. And again, that will really help from an energy standpoint as well, because we rely a lot on a lot of our energy source from the sun as well. And if you're not getting that exposure to sunlight every day, you can feel a little bit, lethargic. You may not feel as energized. So I would say your kind of go-to ones really then are going to be magnesium, which you can supplement in. The magnesium is really good for your recovery. So, and again, with magnesium, it depends on the dosage, but I'd always say before bed, magnesium's a really good one to have, 500 milligrams before bed. Second one would be vitamin D. So again, with that, now it's summer, you can have anywhere up. I personally feel in the winter, you can have a bit more. But whilst you're in the summer, anything upwards of 6,000 to 8,000 IU is a strong amount for the summer. Obviously, in the winter, you can bump that up to 10 to 12,000. But they would be the go-to ones. And then if you feel like maybe your energy levels are low, then you can start adding in, iron and things like that. But again, with things like iron, you can get that from a lot of like green leafy veg. Cacao powder has a lot of iron in it as well. But it all comes down to, your energy levels and how you're feeling. Do you feel like, is there anything in particular like that you feel, with regards to, supplements, on a day-to-day basis, how are you feeling generally? Like, would you say there's any dips, any crashes, or generally okay? So obviously the calories are coming down now.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say, there's probably a few like dips and crashes throughout the day, but because I've never been good with vitamins and veg and that sort of stuff, I'm used to that. So to me, it doesn't actually feel any different. But I'm just thinking, what if I did start supplementing that in? Would that then make me feel even better, and I'd be, stronger in the gym, all that sort of stuff. So it's definitely something that I'd be up for trying. I suppose there's nothing to lose by doing it, right?
Absolutely. And because did I send you over some supplement recommendations when we had our last call?
You did, mate. Yeah, I wasn't the last one. It was the one before, I think, when we started talking about cuts.
Okay, cool. What I'll do is I'll recap and I'll send you over I'll just have a little look over those notes and I can send you over updated version if it didn't already put them in it, but I'm pretty sure I put magnesium, vitamin
I've
D.
got magnesium and D are
Perfect.
definitely there. And then we
Got
were talking
vitamin
about
D,
maybe
yeah?
BCAAs as well, but that's obviously a different
Yeah,
thing.
I would say your go-to ones for like fatigue, especially as the day goes on, like you notice that maybe your energy levels drop a little bit. I would say magnesium is a really good one to have, and I'd say that more at night. And then vitamin D first thing in the morning, anywhere upwards of that 6,000 to 8,000 mark is absolutely fine. Obviously, with regards to if you're feeling a little bit lower energy during your sessions, you can try obviously, like we said, the coconut water. That will help with electrolytes, whilst you're training as well, and potassium as well. Potassium, especially as we sweat, we lose a lot of salts, and sodium, or mainly sodium and potassium, is in things like dates and coconut water, and we utilize them in our training sessions. So it's important that we get in as much as we can around that training time. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that as my sort of pre-workout is Brazil nuts and dates, so that's
Awesome.
doing good. So
Awesome. And Brazil nuts are really good as well. I think we spoke about that last time.
Yeah.
For just general, hormone health, they're very high in selenium as well, which can help with your thyroid, which can regulate your mood, which also can regulate, your thyroid, generally, well, if it's, on a day-to-day basis, secreting hormones, it's really important to monitor that as well. Tash, what about you? Is there anything with regards to this slide that you have a question on?
No, I don't think so. I think in terms of fatigue and dips in the day, I've been okay recently. I think for me it's largely, or I've realized that a lot of the time it's sleep related or also hydration related, which I know is something that we discussed in our last meeting. So I do obviously notice the days where I'm less hydrated, or if I've not drank a lot of water, or if I've had a not very good night's sleep for a few nights in a row, then that has an effect. I do have a vitamin D deficiency anyway.
Okay, okay.
I've not been taking supplements, which I know that I'm supposed to be. I was given some by the doctor years ago, and then I stopped taking those after a while. So that's something I'm going to start doing again too. And it was the sort of thing where even when I was in Spain for all of those years and in the sun constantly, still had a vitamin D problem. So I think that's something that I'm going to need to start incorporating.
Definitely.
In terms of other nutrients and vitamins from veggies and stuff, I know that one of the issues that I have is meeting my calorie goals. So I've cut down on veggies a little bit just because of my appetite to get more calories in the day. I think when I have a lot more veggies, I'm not able to eat as much and meet my calorie goals. So I've cut down on the veggies a little bit. So perhaps supplementing with supplements might be an idea.
And this is it, guys. Supplements are called that for a reason. They supplement in what necessarily your body can't get in through, or not that it can't get in. It can't get in the exact amount that you would need from, say, vegetables. So supplements are good in that sense if you're someone that struggles to get in, the nutrients, which is absolutely fine. But vitamin D, I would recommend a vitamin D, tablet, a good source. I can send some stuff over in the WhatsApp chat after this call with magnesium and vitamin D. I think personally, when it comes to vitamin D, you want to be taking it now. You want to be taking it before at least 6 to 8 months before a summer period in the UK. So let's say, obviously, this time next year, I would start, taking it now for it to get into your system. And the thing is as well, like most things, it comes down to, doing on a consistent basis as well, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But again, the supplements, I'd always say secondary. First things first is the diet. We'll analyze the diet. And if, based on check-ins, you're feeling a little bit lower. And guys, when the calories come down, it is normal for your energy levels to be a little bit lower because you're not consuming as much food. So your body wants to basically reduce the amount of energy that it's exerting through working out, walking, which is perfectly normal. But that's when it comes to, tapping into the mindset and just pushing beyond that little bit of fatigue. Okay. Right, so we're going to talk a little bit about consistency now. Okay, so I think personally, simplicity and consistency really fall hand in hand. Okay, because like you guys know, with regards to your work and what you're doing, to get good at what you're doing, you have to apply a level of consistency. Okay, to get there. Okay, now again, this can come down to with your nutrition, especially over the weekends, keeping food choices relatively the same. And that in effect is really going to allow you to find that level of consistency, and momentum will then start to build. Okay. So really, like I was saying, keeping your food choices similar, applying that level of consistency to your diet, and you will, like you guys have been doing fantastically, start to see the results. Okay. Because this is the thing, we try and overcomplicate nutrition. You know, we look for all the different things. And I always think, look, if we can keep things consistent and similar, like you guys have been doing, like you were saying, Ben, earlier about, you know, keeping your food choices the same, it's paying off. You know, it's paying off. You're seeing the results you want. Same for you, Tash. You know, you're hitting your calories, you're tracking your calories. And as a result of that, you're starting to see the changes as well, which is fantastic. And again, you know, when it comes to consistency, the good thing about MyFitnessPal and even using the you know, the diary tracker in Trainerize is that it's going to allow you to keep a real close eye on, you know, hitting that target. Because if we can monitor, you know, if we can keep an eye on, you know, hitting that calorie target, then you are going to start to see the results. But if we don't, then that's when it comes into play, where if we're not tracking the calories, we're not hitting that target, and we're not quite on track with our goal, there's a real high chance it comes down to, you know, how we've been tracking our target. And that's why with the check-in, the questions are very much targeted around, you know, have you hit your calories? Just to keep, you know, real close eye on that. Have you guys got any questions regarding, you know, tracking food, understanding how to track it correctly? Because I know you guys, you know, you're experienced now in the tracking food department. Did you have any questions on, you know, whether it is MyFitnessPal or just tracking food in general?
I think I've got much better since obviously we had our last meeting, because I did struggle with it a little bit. Just, you know what it's like, I'd forget, or I'd be like at work or whatever, and I think, oh shit, I'd come to the next day and I'd be like, oh man, I didn't track my, you know, my food for that day.
Yeah.
But I think now, because I know, you know, obviously I'm eating the same stuff, I know what I'm eating, I know I'm hitting that category, so that's become a lot easier. I mean, I know for some people it's hard to just do the same thing like every day, but for me, that consistency in it, that's what works.
Absolutely, mate. And like you said, right, you know, for some people, you know, they like to have the same things every day, and that's absolutely cool. For some people, they like to have a bit more variety. But like I was saying earlier, I would always say, you know, if you're someone that struggles with nutrition, really try and build the consistency and simplicity with just having the same meals. And as you get good at that, as you start to build momentum, and then all we do is swap things out and in. So it's like, for example, if you're having, let's say, you know, chicken as a protein source for your, you know, as your dinner, you know, you could start changing it for, you know, lamb or turkey or steak or, you know, fish. It's just making those relevant swaps. But I always think for the first, you know, 1 to 4 weeks of your journey, it's about building that level of, you know, consistency with the nutrition. And look, everyone's different. Everyone starts at different phases with their journey. Some people come in and like, you learn how to track. Some people are like, I've never tracked before, which is absolutely fine. Because I think when we started, Tash, you never tracked your food before, have we? Had you?
No.
No, not really. I mean, when I was at uni, I did on MyFitnessPal a little bit here and there, which was good. It sort of makes you that little bit more aware of what you're putting into yourself when you're actively paying attention to and tracking what you're eating. Makes you a little bit more aware, and it sort of makes you conscious of making slightly wiser choices. So yeah, a little bit before, but not as consistently as we have been since we've started working together.
And I don't know about you guys, but it almost feels like second nature. You know, like once you get it nailed, it becomes, you know, at the start it can feel a little bit, you know, challenging because you're like, oh, I need to track this and this. But like, if you can build it around those basic, you know, foods, then it really makes it easier for you, and you're able to track things a lot more, you know, faster. You're not spending as much time, and you could just kind of get on with the day. And this is what I would say to people: like, don't waste your energy over, you know, like necessarily tracking. You don't like make that be the main focus of your day. You know, have your food, you know, do your sessions, and then, you know, crack on with your day, because it's only a very small part of our day when we think about, you know, the clock of a typical day. You know, how many hours of the day are made up of actually us, you know, eating our food, tracking it, and training. It's not many hours. So that's when it's just like, okay, well, let's keep it simple, and let's just build on that. Yeah. Awesome stuff, guys. You know, you've both come a very, very long way with that, and that's really, really good to see as well. Okay. Now, one of the final things I want to talk a little bit about is eating patterns, okay? Because again, these last three slides really, you know, they work very, you know, in sync with each other, okay? Because when it comes to eating patterns, you know, one of the best things I'd say to you guys is you want to try and keep things throughout the week as similar as you can to the weekend. So when I say that, what I mean is, you know, Monday, you know, you might be eating your breakfast at, you know, 10 a.m. Can you still eat this, you know, at the same time on the weekends? If you can't, okay, well, look, it doesn't really matter. Can we keep it around about that time? Can it be 11 a.m.? Because then you're not only, you know, building on that level of consistency, but you're also going to help, you know, from your standpoint, keep things really basic, but it's also going to allow your appetite to really regulate itself as well, okay? Because, you know, it might mean, you know, like I put on here, it might mean on Thursday or Friday evening, if you know, okay, I've got a busy weekend coming up, can you prep some meals for Saturday and Sunday on a Friday morning, Friday afternoon when you got, you know, 20 minutes? You know, can you keep it, you know, simple? Can you really prep some food for the weekend? Because that way you know that, okay, if I'm out, then I've got some food with me if I need it. And if, you know, if you don't have time to prep, that's absolutely fine. You can, you know, think about some of the food choices that you can have when you're on the go. And you'll find in the Trainerize group, there are some shopping lists in there as well as an eating out guide. So those things will really help you when it comes to, you know, hitting your food when you're on the go as well. Okay. And again, like I put at the bottom, keeping at similar times. And, you know, I know obviously, you know, Friday, Thursday night you might be in at 7 p.m. You know, Sunday night you might be even at 5 p.m. But you know, it doesn't really matter too much as long as we can keep, you know, relatively similar eating patterns in how many meals a day we're having and similar food choices. That's going to put you in a really good position from not just the start of the week, but to the end of the week as well, because that's where a lot of people, you know, really struggle over the weekends is they blow it because they think, okay, well, you know, I can't stick to my nutrition on the weekend because it needs to be something, you know, really drastically different. But it doesn't. It doesn't. How are you guys finding, like, you know, eating over the weekend? Are you finding it relatively easy? Are you finding it challenging? Don't all jump at once.
That's you, go ahead.
For me, on the weekends is usually okay. It depends on where I am and what I'm doing. Sometimes on the weekends, if I'm not around and I've not got like my meal prep, or if I'm, I don't know, taking a train somewhere, or if I'm not in my house for the weekend, then I've not got access to everything that I would have during the week. So I tend to try and be as mindful as I can and track as much as I can, or track as well as I can on the weekend. But when you're on the go, and if I've picked up something from the train station or from the supermarket, or if I've eaten at a cafe or whatever, it's a little bit more tricky to track things on the app, but I do try and keep a mental note of what I've eaten and how many calories I've eaten. So in terms of that on the weekend, I do find it a little bit tricky, and I think you've probably noticed from my check-ins that my food logs sort of dip on the weekends, not from a lack of tracking calories. Sometimes I'm not able to log everything onto the app. So apart from that, also sometimes socially on the weekends, or sometimes even if it's meetings on the weekends, if we've gone somewhere for a meeting or gone for dinner for a meeting, and basically one of the things that I struggle to track on the weekends is alcohol. Not that I drink a lot on the weekends, not that I binge drink on the weekends as much as I used to. That's also something that I'm more mindful of. But tracking calories that come from those sorts of things too, that's you sort of out of the swing.
Yeah, great question. That's
during the week.
That's a great point you've made there, Tash, because for a lot of people, if they do want to drink every now and then on the weekends, or even if they are eating out, then this is where calorie cycling comes in really nicely. Now, I don't know if we spoke about calorie cycling before. I'll do another live covering calorie cycling a little bit more in detail. So if we think about your daily calorie intake being, let's use 1500 as an example. Let's use a low example, 1500. So let's say you've got breakfast, lunch, and then you know you're going out for dinner at night. So what I would ultimately do is I would give yourself a big calorie leeway in the evening. So let's say, you know, 900 calories for your evening meal. And if that is including 1 or 2 drinks and an evening meal, that should just about cover it. Okay, so 900 calories. So effectively, for breakfast and lunch, that gives you 600 calories to play with. So what that could mean is you could either do two things basically. You could have a small breakfast and a small lunch, or you could just skip your breakfast and you could go for like a medium-sized lunch, which would effectively have 600 calories in it, and then you could have a bigger meal at night. So you'd only be effectively having 2 meals. So you skip the breakfast. Let's say if you're on the go over the weekend, you'd push that breakfast out of the way, and let's say at 2 p.m. if you could fast until that time, or even if it's 1 p.m. or midday, you could have a relatively sized, let's call it a lunch, because you wouldn't have breakfast. You'd have water in the morning, maybe a black coffee to blunt your hunger, and then you'd have that first meal, which would be around about midday, or even if you could push it back later to 2 p.m. You could have a good sized meal, 600 calories, and then in the evening you could give yourself that 900 calorie buffer if you wanted to on like a Saturday, because you're going to be out all day. That way you're giving yourself that leeway as well, and it's not going to do loads of damage. And this is the thing, guys, one day out of the space of a week, even if it's 2 days a month, it's not going to make a massive difference. Okay, and that's if you enjoy having a little bit of the social life aspect, where you do want to have a drink as well. And even like you were saying, Tash, with regards to having a drink, it might mean, okay, well, if I want a drink and I want to have one, I might go for like a slim and gin lime tonic, vodka with like a Diet Coke. Another one that I used to have a little while back was vodka with water and blackcurrant. Now that's very low, well, next to no calories, and it's pretty much an easy way for you to still stay on track and not go over your calories from having a drink, but also giving you that leeway with your food as well. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Is vodka quite low in calories then?
Vodka is near enough. That and gin are the only two, I would say, drinks that literally have near to no calories in them. And if you're mixing it with something like water and blackcurrant, it will dilute it down a little bit. It won't taste as strong, but it has next to no calories in it. Don't quote me on the amount of calories. I'm not too sure on the amount of calories, but it is very, very low. But it's just something to bear in mind. In the future, if you are going to have a drink, obviously now it's summer, some people like to go out and have a drink on the weekends. And that is something I would say, rather than having like beer, cider, very high in calories, can make you a little bit bloated as well, a little bit uncomfortable. Those ones tend to be, the vodka and the gin tend to be very low in calories. And a little bit, when you had a little bit of like a blackcurrant or mixer in there, they're not as strong. And you'll find as well, as you get leaner, you won't need as much in terms of alcohol for it to actually, some people say, oh, wait, when it hits you, you don't need as much, because when you're leaner, you're not carrying as much body weight. Therefore, things like having a drink will hit you a lot earlier than it would do, however many years or months back, when maybe, you were in a different position with your health.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the things that I think I've noticed the most over this past year, is that it doesn't take a lot and the headache comes on a lot quicker the next day.
It's crazy, right? It's because your body's going through a cleansing process as well. So because obviously, you've completely changed, you've completely transformed yourself and your physique, because you've gone through this cleansing process of, you're getting rid of toxins, like by, working out, you're freeing your body of toxins, you're eliminating body fat, you're getting rid of body fat. As a byproduct of that, you're getting healthier. So when you have something that may be considered like alcohol as unhealthy, your body's, oh, this is strange, and it reacts a lot faster to it, and you'll feel it a lot more intensely as well.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, definitely something that I've noticed, and I think it's good to have little tips like that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Like what you shared, because it is those little things throughout the week, or even if it is on the weekends, that do sort of add up in the grand scheme of things on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. Those calories that you get from those sorts of things that aren't really giving you very much benefit, but they do add up.
This is it. Alcohol is effectively wasted calories as well. And And the more we can be measurable, the more we can be measurable with the foods we have. You know, if we're tracking your food, you're tracking it, thereabouts to the T, it's going to be a lot more evident in your, your progress as well. But when, one thing I always say when I'm doing my check-ins, when I'm asking different people different questions, maybe they're not progressing, but I'm always like, okay, well, have you hit your calories to the T? Because if not, then that's when things can start to slow down a little bit. But for you guys, it's not the case. And, for a lot of people, it's not the case. It's just a case of being aware of these things. So, okay, well, maybe my weight fluctuated, which is normal. You can get it. You can get it when you're dieting down. And it is, like I said, it is very normal. But it's also important to remember to log your calories as close to your target as possible, guys. Okay? Right, guys. So I hope that helped. Is there anyone, I'll say anyone, there's only you two on the call. Do you have any questions with regards to anything we spoke about, or just general questions regarding training, nutrition in general, or mindset? Is there anything that you need my help with before we wrap up? We have got a few more minutes before we will wrap up. Is there anything that you need my help with?
To be honest, mate, I think, from my point of view, that was a brilliant call, man. Really, really good little presentation there. You've answered loads of little questions and little quibbles. I think for me, and which I'm really grateful to you for, is it's like when I'm in the gym, I don't know, what was it yesterday? My back was like the middle of my back was weak compared to how it was the week before. I just find, obviously I just hit you with that sort of question as and when it happens. And then obviously you come back to me with the stuff, which definitely helps. I think in general, like training, I'm pretty comfortable with doing. And I say when those things do pop up, you've been really great on the answering the questions, man. So I do appreciate that.
Amazing, mate. Anytime at all. For both of you, the same. If there's anything that you need a hand with, you can message me. Like I said, you've got access to Trainerize. Everyone has my WhatsApp number just in case it is urgent as well. You can obviously ask any questions on there if you don't get a reply on Trainerize relatively soon. But no, I'm glad this has helped you, mate. Tash, is there anything that you need my help with?
Can I ask a quick question about
sure.
Supplements and nutrition?
Yeah, go for it.
Regarding, so in terms of nutrition, how important is it to get those macronutrients in balance as they are on the app and the target that you've set?
Great question.
That, and also that related to protein as well. Because I do sometimes struggle to meet my calories, and I sometimes struggle to keep those in balance. And also sometimes my protein is like, can I just have like an extra protein shake in the day? Does it matter how many of those I have in the day, for example?
I mean, and both really good questions. So with regards to the protein shakes, I would always recommend, when it comes to your nutrition, really try and push for whole foods. Because I was saying this to one of the guys yesterday, if we compare a piece of salmon, let's say, to a protein shake. Now, a protein shake is great for hitting your calories and your protein target, but as salmon, you've got your omega-3 fatty acids in there as well, which are really good for your eye health, your general nerve health, your hair health. So these things can't be replaced by a supplement for like whey protein, for example. Now, if you are struggling to get your protein in, maybe you've got to rush off somewhere and you have to get a protein shake, then by all means, that's also okay. I'm not saying don't have it. I'm just saying if we can, try and have whole foods, like, whether it's eggs, whether it is, salmon or even chicken, then I would always opt for that as a first choice. With regards to the other question you asked me, which was in order of importance, I would always say, well, I know this is not just me, but obviously with regards to the list of importance, calories first, because calories is energy. Now, in order for you to, burn fat, to lose weight, you have to hit your calories, because it's like, imagine a seesaw. The more food we put in, effectively, if we're eating more than we need on a day-to-day basis, your weight's going to go up. Okay. Whereas if we're eating less than we need on a day-to-day basis, your weight's going to go down. Now, with that being said, even if you eat under your calorie target, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose weight. Okay. Because what we tend to find is everyone will have a maintenance baseline. Let's say, for example, my maintenance baseline is 2,900 calories. So if I ate 2,900 calories every day, I'd maintain weight. Okay. Now, if I ate 2,700, I'd still lose weight. Now, the minimum amount for me to be in a deficit would be 1,000 calories less than my maintenance. So that'd be 1,900. Okay. Now, if I ate any less than that, it would be very, very non-beneficial, because effectively I'd still be in a fat burning zone, but I would be effectively burning muscle, which is not what we want. So that's why it's really important when I set your calories, we hit that target, because the target that I've set, for you guys is, the deficit amount of calories. So you're in that bracket. Anything lower is counterproductive, because what will happen is if we keep eating under that target, then it's going to be effectively counterproductive long term, because we can't keep bringing them any further down. Okay. But going back to your question, and I'm drifting off a little bit. Calories first, protein, carbs, then fats, in that order. That's what I always say. Calories first. Calories are key, then protein. You want each meal to be full of protein. It's going to keep you full, keep your muscles full as well. And not just that, recovery, especially if you've smashed a gym session. Protein is essential, for repairing, your muscles after an intense workout session. But not just on your training days, it's just essential in general for recovery, repairing any muscle tissue as well. Okay. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, perfect. Amazing, Joe. Thank you very much.
No worries, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to keep these lives coming as well. Okay. I want to get more people on these lives. What I'll do after this, if this time works for you guys going forward, we'll keep it the same. What I'll do is I'll share this. I've recorded it, so I'll share it in the group, so you can watch it back, replay it back in your own time if you want to. It'll be there for future reference as well. So obviously, if you've got any questions around nutrition that I didn't answer on here, just message me at any time, guys. Okay?
Awesome. Appreciate it, bud.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's great to see you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all soon.
You too. Take care. Catch you later.
I'll see you later, guys. Bye.
Thank you.